Drop the weapons, hands in the air. The shouts came fast and fierce, slicing through the woods so sharp, even the birds stopped singing. One second I was sipping my coffee on the porch watching the sunrise, and the next I was staring at 5 men in full camo rifles, half-raised faces, pale as ghosts caught in the crosshairs of something way bigger than any HOA drama they'd ever imagined. What those boys didn't know, what Karen Glenda Whitmore, president of the Lakeside Harmony HOA Queen of Pastel Suits, had no clue about, was that my so-called empty lake cabin was surrounded that weekend by 30 federal trainees from the FBI out here in the backwoods for a little advanced survival, just a routine exercise, nothing to see, until her henchman came creeping. Agent Keller, old friend, clipped badge stone jaw, stepped up before any of them could even finish stammering an excuse. "You're trespassing on federal land." 5 seconds. Who sent you? And don't lie. You ever see grown men look like cornered deer? They started shifting, looking for a name to drop, and believe me, it wasn't going to be their own. But the name would come out soon enough. And when it did, there'd be no more hiding behind concerned neighbor letters or HOA memos. That morning, I was standing on my porch, arms folded, heart pounding, not out of fear, but something hotter, heavier. That deep kind of anger that's silent right up until it explodes. Let me back up a sec, because stories like this, they don't start with standoffs or feds in the trees. They start with something simple, something that feels like hope. I'm Luke Mason, 52, retired from the Bureau. Built my second life out here at Golden Pine Lake. Just an old cabin, a pile of tools, and enough peace and quiet to let my shoulders drop for the first time in 20 years. You'd think a man could buy himself a little rest after chasing cartel ghosts and white-collar thieves, but peace doesn't last long with a Karen next door. Glenda Whitmore. She wasn't even my neighbor, not really. Lived up the hill in her little pastel kingdom, ran the HOA like a dictatorship, obsessed with mailbox height and patio chairs, always acting like my cabin ruined the neighborhood aesthetics, even though you know my cabin's technically outside their little boundary. Barely. Which ticked her off even more. From the minute I started renovations, Karen made it her business to supervise. Showed up while I was hauling firewood, told me my gear was visible from the trail. I offered her coffee. I always try kindness first, you know. But she didn't want kindness. She wanted control. Started with little things. Notes about noise, side-eyeing my cookouts. The kind of small-town policing. That'd be funny if it wasn't so persistent. Then came the official letters, hand-delivered, not even real HOA documents. Just Glenda's own bossy handwriting, no RVs, no gatherings over 8 people, move your woodpile, blah, blah. I ignored them, even sent one back with a smiley face in red marker. No sense of humor, that one. One morning, though, I found a sign hammered into my driveway oak. Private HOA property. No trespassing. Big logo at the bottom, pure power move. I just pulled it down and set it on her porch. Nice try, but this tree's mine. Thing is, people like her never quit, they escalate. I didn't know about the hunters until one of my students, Diego Sweet Kid from my self-defense class, came up breathless. Said he'd seen men with rifles near my place talking about clearing it out for the HOA. That's when my stomach dropped. This wasn't just neighborly annoyance anymore. I called Keller, offered the cabin and woods as a site for his trainees. Didn't even mention Karen. He owed me. And I figured, why not let the next generation of feds practice on some real-world HOA drama? By Sunday night, I had the whole area prepped, cameras running, radio in hand, and sure enough, just after midnight, motion sensors tripped. 5 men, one with a scoped rifle, moving real careful but not careful enough. My cameras picked them up. Keller's trainees surrounded them, and when the call came, dropped the weapons, hands in the air. The woods went quiet as a grave. You know what I mean, that silence where you feel the world holding its breath. Then came the twist. As Keller and his crew started sorting the men, one tried to explain, "We were told this place was abandoned, just supposed to scare off squatters." That's when I stepped out, made eye contact with the biggest guy, and said, "Maybe you want to explain who exactly gave you that mission." But before he could speak, a sixth man emerged from the trees, walkie-talkie in hand. The static was barely gone when a voice crackled out sharp and familiar. "Are they gone yet? I want that cabin cleared before sunrise. And make sure no one sees you. This is HOA business." You ever have one of those moments where every lie unravels at once? That was it. Keller calmly took the walkie-talkie, identified himself as federal, and demanded a name. Silence. Then a click. Transmission dead. But everyone standing there knew exactly whose voice had just barked orders. Karen Whitmore, queen of the HOA. She'd sent these men thinking she could push me off my land, never guessing the woods were crawling with federal agents. I could have pressed charges then and there, but looking at those men shaking and scared, I saw pawns, not criminals. Karen had lied to them, told them the place was full of dangerous squatters. That's when I realized how deep she'd gotten herself. Next morning, I walked into town, made sure people saw me, let them know I wasn't gone, wasn't scared. Stopped by Millie's for coffee, told her what happened. The whole diner went quiet. Someone let out a whistle. I didn't give the details, just enough to let it settle in. By the time I got back, there were 2 notes on my gate, one official, one scribbled. Karen threatening and whining in the same breath, claiming I'd put everyone in danger by calling in the feds. She didn't know she was caught on tape. That night, I mailed a copy of the original land deed to every HOA board member. A little reminder, the HOA never had jurisdiction here, just bluster. I thought that might calm things, but no, she came back. This time with backup. 6 folks in tow, cell phones flashing, snapping pictures, whispering and pointing. And just as I'm about to step outside, there's a crash, a scream. Not Karen's voice this time, someone else. Turns out, it's Rachel Davis, former town clerk. Never thought I'd see her mixed up in this. She'd been roped into the inspection by Karen, told there was some military compound being built. She tripped, cut her hand on the glass. I patched her up, told her the truth. She looked at me like her world just tilted. Before I could finish, 3 SUVs rolled up. Out stepped Sheriff Dean, and of course Karen in full peach regalia, acting like she owned the place. She accused me to my face of harboring illegal federal agents. Keller, cool as ice, explained the real situation. I pulled up the 1989 deed on my phone, showed Dean. He sighed, said the lines hadn't changed in decades. Karen insisted her updated HOA maps trumped federal land records. Yeah, that happened. Keller had enough radioed his deputy to secure everyone for statements. Rachel called Karen out in front of the sheriff, and the neighbors said Karen had lied, tricked the board, put everyone in danger. You'd think it'd be over, but Karen was just a front. The next morning, Diego called me, voice shaking, said one of the men from the woods was lurking outside his house. Not just a scare tactic, this was organized. Keller ran the numbers and found money moving from a shell company, Harmony Front Holdings, right into the youngest hunter's account. 3 states, no real business. That's when I realized this wasn't just about one cranky HOA president. Someone was funding this using the HOA as a front to grab land around the lake. I called a community meeting, packed the church hall, showed the evidence deeds, audio, video, the shell company. Turned out Harmony Front had made offers on almost everyone's land, harassed them, vandalized docks. Rachel remembered people asking about deed rewrites at the clerk's office. Old O'Neill, 3 cabins down, said they'd tried to buy him out, then trashed his dock when he refused. Diego's grandmother spoke up. It's time we stopped being scared. That night I felt the shift, people ready to stand up. But next morning, every camera on my property was painted black and my door was tagged in red. Final notice, Mason. Agent Keller called Harmony Front Holdings was tied to foreign land acquirers already under federal scrutiny. And Karen gone. Packed up, phone off, vanished. That was the moment we knew this was more than HOA drama. The feds sent in a full field team, set up a perimeter, turned my cabin into command central. Agent Monroe took charge, tough, no nonsense, exactly what the moment needed. She showed me the plans, resort blueprints, casino, golf course, all set to bulldoze our cabins. We started finding more drone footage, real estate offers, mineral rights documents. Turns out there were rare earth metals under the lake, enough to spark international interest. The HOA, the shell companies, the fires, it was all to push us off so they could strip mine the place. The very next day, Rachel's cabin was torched, burned down. While the feds were busy with me, that was the final straw. The town rallied. No more running. Harmony Front hit back, blocked every road, set up fake government checkpoints, tried to trap us in. One night we caught 3 men trying to torch my shed, incendiaries, flashbangs, tactical gear. The FBI nabbed 2, 1 ran. Next morning, a lawyer in a silver BMW offered me double market value for my land, all hush-hush, no questions. I turned him down flat. He just smiled, said, "You don't want to be here when the next step happens." And sure enough, that next step was arson, Rachel's cabin, burning, the community's spirit tested. But that's when the tide turned. Monroe and Keller found the missing links, proof of the shell company Karen's orders on tape mineral rights maps. We went live that night, streaming everything from the lakeshore documents, footage, the works. Over 200,000 people watched, hashtags trended, news outlets called, and the pressure was on. The feds moved in, arrested Karen at the airport, broke up the whole operation. Golden Pine was saved. Rachel's cabin got rebuilt by the community. Diego got a scholarship, and me, I'm still here, coffee in hand. The lake quiet again. You want to know what I learned? Sometimes the real power isn't in a badge or a gun. It's in telling the truth, standing tall, and refusing to let anyone erase your story. If you've got your own HOA, Karen gunning for you, don't back down. Stand up, speak out, and you might just find your neighbors and the whole world standing right beside you. Now tell me, if you were in my shoes, would you have walked away or stood your ground? Drop a comment below and let's talk about what justice really looks like when the fight comes to your door.